Enough's enough, man. I'm sick and tired of it. Stop compromising who you are for everybody else. I am no longer shy, broken, weak, because you gave me belief. You can achieve anything you want, because now you believe it. I am no longer a sheep living in disbelief. Disbelief that I am not great, that I am not strong, that I am not worthy of this greatness. I am amazing. I am phenomenal. I am capable of all things. And so are you. Oftentimes we allow everyone to dictate what's valuable in our lives. It's because of you I now see the light. You're an unstoppable force of nature. I am in control of my own destiny. I hold the pen that writes my own story. I come to you vulnerable. You give me armor, make me invincible. You're no longer allowed to ask why. Why me? You now say, try me. This wisdom shall set you free. Free from the chains that hold your imagination, your greatness captive.
Oh no, what happened?
Morning, everyone. Let's get it going. All right.
Morning.
If you ain't awoke, you better get up. Phil, wake up the whole house. Let's go.
Get up.
All right, everyone. So we got obviously we got myself, Dwyght, Mack of Mack's Moving Training in the building. We got Country Phil Diamond, all about moving and storage in the building.
Yeehaw!
We got Clifford Stark over here. No camera, but he gonna get it this morning.
What's up, everybody?
And we got our guest today, Mario Reyes of South Bay, moving and storage in the building. What's going on, Mario?
Doing today? Thanks for having me, Dwyght.
Definitely. So, all right. So, just to kick it off a little bit today, congratulations, Phil, on that new warehouse you're moving into.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
You want to tell us a little bit about, what's the logistics? Break it out.
Oh man, it's a lot of work, going more into a larger scale of the storage business. We've kind of been running a little bit on a smaller scale. We're offering climate control storage. Right now we're running out of some 8x8, 8x7x7 vaults, storage vaults. We've been in the building about a week and a half. We have I think our capacity is 450. We've already filled up 210. So in a week and a half. So we're rolling. Yes, sir.
All right. And what about you, Cliff? What's new in the building?
Laying here, sprawled out on my bed, doing my thing. The fighter's mind's still there, though. So I'm thinking about what I'm going to do when I get back, stronger than ever. I can't wait to hear Mario Reyes, because he talks about being an ass kicker. And that's what I'm thinking right now as I'm laying here sprawled out, ready to take asses and take names.
Hey, we don't know if we got CPS on the line. I don't know which ass you're talking about.
Oh man.
But yeah, Mario, so tell us about yourself.
Well, my name is Mario Reyes. I'm South Bay Moving Systems. I've been in the business for 44 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been in the moving business all my life, ever since I've been 12. I'm 58 now. And I've kind of done a little bit of everything, from cleaning up as a little kid at 12, breaking down boxes, to going on moves, to being a contractor, to owning a company, to growing a company now for multi-offices. So just, continue growing and learning, man, just doing our thing out here, and, just on the grind, every day. It's always something. It's a moving business, or it's life. It's never easy. It's just, we just finish it out. We just keep on going with it. So the fight is never over, I don't think.
No, I definitely hear that.
That is the truth.
So tell us about how big is your company?
Well, right now we're 16 trucks in Salinas, California, and we're 30,000 square feet.
Mm.
And then our other location is a little smaller than 18,000 square feet and 7 trucks.
Mm.
And
He said the other location.
yes, yes, Southern California. So that's starting to do something. I mean, like we didn't open it up from scratch. It was an existing moving company. It's been around for like 35 years. But the owners, they're older and everything's paid for, their land, their trucks, their house, their everything. So they're just doing enough just to keep the doors open. And I think they're a little bit not bored, but just, you know, this is all they've ever done. So they just keep it open. So
Yeah. So talk to us about that. Like, what does that feel like when since you acquired a moving company that was already existing? What does that feel like? What assets or intangible assets are you acquiring when you acquire a business like that?
everybody, you know, even the staff, but like I already know because I kind of did that when I moved my operation from Oakland to Salinas, that you may lose everybody. You know, that like just because everybody comes, they may work for you for a month. And then they may say, you know what, I don't like it. And then they all leave. So you have to be prepared for the worst. I mean, you can't think negative, but you have to think of what's going to happen next. But like, fortunately, all the staff seems to be intact over the last, it's been a gradual transition. So it's been about a year. So like, I've got to know all the staff down there and they seem to, you know, like me and we get along. And but I'm just waiting, you know, like I do a lot more. I do, like in the summer, I was doing 22 jobs a day down there and they were doing like 2 or 3. So just bumping more jobs up. I'm used to moving at a lot faster pace than they are. So we'll see how it turns out. So.
Okay. So I know that now that you have 2 locations, how like what does your day-to-day look like with trying to oversee those 2 locations?
Well, basically what I just do is I always log into the security cameras down there just to kind of see what's going on. And I just run it off the numbers. We're still on different operating systems, and hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be on the same operating system. So I can just put as far as numbers, financials, things of that nature on a day-to-day basis. And I think that'll be easier in some ways. I've got a good general manager down there. But like I said, you know, you never know. So we're doing most of our accounting for my company overseas. They're doing it in-house over there. So we'll see how that goes. But it's actually pretty good, man. I mean, like, I can't complain. It's all stress. It's just different levels of it, you know. I mean, like I always say, it's like, to me, 1 truck, 3 trucks is easy now, but when I had 3 or 4 or 5, I was like, oh my God, this is hard. Then, you know what I mean? So I think that it was like 1 was hard, then 3 was hard, then 5 was hard, then 7 was hard, then getting into double digits was hard. And then, you know, I can't wait till the day I can say I got 70, but you know, it's just like, to me, it's all hard. Like, it's just different levels of it, and you get used to it, and you know, you can keep on going like that. And, I think that's the main thing.
And definitely having a strong team around you is definitely makes it a little more easier as well. I know that the guys out there in Chicago holding it down with 150 trucks must be crazy. You know, that level of stress of 300 movers and, you know, admin staff, and you're just thinking like, there's 300 ways something could go wrong. But, you know, because hey, we all humans at the end of the day, but they're crushing it out there in Chicago area. So that's a great market.
No, but you know what though, Dwyght? It's like it's funny because, and I'll tell anybody out there, you get enough trucks, you're gonna have a rollover. It just happens, you know. It's like the craziest stuff's gonna happen to you. So if you think it's not, then it is. And it's just the way it is. You have a fleet owner, you know, like a real old guy. And well, they're pretty big now, but I knew the guys about Lycon for a long time. And the old man already said, hey, you're gonna have a rollover. And I just remember I was a kid. You're gonna have, if you're big enough, you might even have a fatality. God forbid. But this is part of what we do, and we try to do obviously to prevent it. But yeah, no, it's all out there, and you just have to kind of accept it if that's what you want. Like if you don't want, like if you say, hey, listen, 5 is good for me, 10 is good for me, 20 is good for me. That it's all right. It's just it's whatever's good for you. So I would say that.
Gotcha. So what does that maintenance look like for your for a company of your size? Like how do you prepare for the unknown?
Well, so we're starting to get a maintenance software to track breakdowns on trucks to see when we should get rid of, when trucks are basically costing more than they're worth. I try to keep everything within 7 years or less and then get rid of them because it's going to cost you eventually.
Phil, you hear that? That 1995 got to go.
Because if you're going to have, if you don't have much turnover, then I think that you could probably get away with an older truck, or if one person that's, is solid and they've been driving it for a long time. I like to try to keep the same guys in the same truck. So that if something happens to it, I can point a finger back at that person. But sometimes it doesn't happen. Truck job doesn't get completed. We have to truck jump, and those were to me the issues more than anything. But like in November, it was in November or December, I think we got 80 grand in breakdowns. So yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Phil knows it all the best.
Yeah, so it's like it happens, but it happens in waves. But I'll be honest with you, if you stay on it, it won't happen like that. Like I just again, when I was always on the day-to-day, it didn't happen because I knew I just did it a little at a time. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'd rather spend 80 or 100 grand over 10 months, 12 months than 1 month. But again, just putting the systems in place so that, you can really monitor it, they'll save you a whole bunch of money, I think.
So do you set money aside, or what does that process look for you for this?
I do. And luckily I had it, coming out of the summer, and we do a lot of billables. So we were just getting paid for a lot of stuff we were doing in the summer, like 60, 90 days later. So it just, it came at the right time. And, I don't really live an extravagant lifestyle.
You gotta live some type of good life that living in that San Francisco area.
Well, yeah, and then I just say that more than anything, I'm lucky. My wife makes a decent amount of money, and because in the times when my business was really struggling, she was the one that really pushed us through, because it was almost like a toy because it wasn't making any money.
What's the average price per move out there, would you say?
Probably like 2,800.
I know
that's the California taxes, boy.
Yeah, we have a real, so that's just on our COD market, but like on our military stuff, it's well under 5 digits. Yeah.
So I know some people dread, they were like, oh, I got to get into long distance moving, or I got to get into commercial, or I got to get into this because that's where the money is at. I feel like, all the talks I hear about San Francisco is like, man, if you don't just do this move, because no matter what, you're going to make some type of money no matter what,
Well, I think that's a good question. It depends on what lane you want to be in. I don't, like I've always said, there's no right answer for anybody. It's just like what you want to do. Like some people do all local moves. Some people will do long distance. I have more of a long distance background. That's why you hear me talk about accounts and military and stuff like that over the years, because that's my background. Local moves are actually a new phenomenon for me. I've done them, but I don't really care for them even when I was on the trucks, because they're hard. They're just it's everyday grind, you know what I mean? And so they're on and off on the same day, and you have to be a soldier to do them. But I think they're necessary evil, so we do them. But yeah.
So tell us about that. With your long distance, let's say you go out to Let's say you go out to Florida, Largo, Florida area where Phil is. What does that backhaul look like for you? Because that's been a
Yeah,
big thing.
pretty easy during the busy season because Phil's in the Tampa area, so MacDill Air Force Base is there. And we have strategic partners, so we'll get something out of MacDill. They made MacDill a SpecCom base, so like special forces come out of there, or they deploy out of there, so it's a lot of movement in and out of there. And a lot of times they're going to another SpecCom base in New Mexico, so at least it gets us going back.
Okay.
California.
So you have to, are you affiliated with brokers or someone all across the world where you're just like, well, hey, I know that I'm going this place, could you give me a backhaul?
Carriers, and then now people know me and I haul a lot, so they'll call me and say, hey, I got this, are you interested?
Okay. And then now you do shuttling? Do you shuttle?
We shuttle trailers back and forth, tractor trailers from California to the DC metro area. So last year we did 22 tractor trailer loads going back there. This year we'll probably do 27 to 30.
So how did you get your pricing schematic down with long distance? Because that's the question that a lot of people are asking. Like, yo, what do I charge from Arkansas to DC? Like
Well,
how do you get that down?
So I mean, you can do something easy. You can go and use, so like the military tariff is called 400 NG. You can use it and claim it as your own and call it Mack 400 or Mack 101 or you know what I mean, and register it with a household goods bureau so that that'll be your tariff. Or you can get someone to make a generic tariff, which is already out there, like 400N before they went out. You can go buy that, and that's just weight based. And then just call it like all about moving 101 or 100 1001 or Clifford Starks 65 or name it whatever you want to. But I would just say, so we use somewhat of a military tariff because it's easy to rate stuff, and we just put a discount on it, and that's how we do it.
Now, do you run the numbers afterwards to see if it's profitable?
You know what? We already know because we've been doing the military so long where our sweet spot is. So you just have to run it what's good for you and, kind of go from there. But it's palatable. Sometimes we do a truckload deal on a bobtail. Like we're because we're having a lot of people outbound California on their COD market that are going to Idaho, and sometimes there's not stuff. In the summertime, there's stuff coming back. But in the wintertime, it's a one-way thing, so we'll go higher on our pricing because we're not getting a backhaul. But in the summertime, you can get something coming out of Idaho, Montana, but in the wintertime, there's just, you want to run in and run out. So
yeah, I feel like
our pricing is actually higher in the wintertime to go to those places.
Yeah, I feel like we're too small right now, and maybe that's my mindset, but I feel like, finding backhauls is one of the things that I don't want to really have to deal with, especially like if I'm going far, whatever the case is. Like, hey, you know what? And maybe it could cut my costs down because now I'm only charging the customer one way, and then that makes it more feasible. But, I'd rather like, well, hey, if we don't catch a backhaul, we still got to cover those expenses coming back.
Right. No, I agree. It depends on what you feel comfortable for, man. I mean, like, you can't dig into the shiny anything. You know what I mean? Like you have to dig on what you're comfortable with. And if you're not comfortable doing it, it's gonna feel bad. But like, I think that everybody on this call or anyone listening should get comfortable with being uncomfortable if they want to grow their company. So it just
definitely,
like this is just the way it is. You know what I mean? Like there was a big boxing fight, Garcia versus Tank Davis. And I told everybody, I said, well, Davis, who was actually the favorite, I said, he's more comfortable with the situation. And that's, can you perform under the bright lights? And it's the same thing in business. It's like, if you can't perform under the bright lights, it gets uncomfortable. But, time, sometimes people grow more than faster than others, but you just have to learn how to perform in front of the bright lights, and see if that's good for you,
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So Phil, what, tell us about, like, obviously I know Mario was talking about it, but like, yeah, hit on that, I guess, a little bit more. Like, what type of, I guess, I know Mario was mentioning like daily struggles that we all go through. We're all on different levels. What's that struggle like for you typically?
For my moving company, customer satisfaction is number one. That's top priority in my book. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm not worried about the money. I'm just the kind of guy that I will tell my guys to walk away from a job and not collect a bill just to make a customer satisfied. I've got some other things going on other than the moving industry. So, what I'm learning is customers will take complete advantage of you when they feel you're weak. We have a pretty much a pretty perfect resume on Google, Yelp, and things of that nature. And the slightest thing that can occur on a job, me personally, I stress myself out worried about it. A lampshade. Just kind of how I've always been with not just with moving, with everything. I'm a perfectionist, so I like things done the correct way.
Do you feel like that's crippled you in the past, that perfectionist mentality?
So now I've made it a little bit more difficult to contact me personally. I don't, for customers and things of that nature, because I don't answer the phone anymore. And we still have customers that use us, it's a little echo there. Okay. All right. We've had customers, that use us, back when we first began the business 7 years ago. And they know my personal cell phone. So I've made it a little bit more, difficult to get in contact with me. That way I'm not worried about, Mrs. Eagleston's lampshade. It has crippled me in several different areas. Like I say, I'll stay up all night researching. Just say if a table leg got damaged, dude, I will research and find that table, exactly that table, and take care of it. But now that we're starting to do a little bit more on a larger scale, I can't focus in that area so much anymore. And I'm trying to remove myself a little bit more from claims and things of that nature. And I don't micromanage the Google reviews as much as I used to, because I would check it literally every hour on the hour. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what do you, Mario, I know you're into the numbers, I would think as much as myself, or maybe so. What do you think is the industry benchmarks in that area of claims?
I think like 2.3%.
Okay.
I mean, like for me, that's where we're at. I think the industry average is probably a little bit higher, maybe like 7%.
Yeah, because I was actually looking for that metric online the other day, and just to bring this up, I spoke to Jay. I was speaking to Jay Burnham yesterday. Great guy, very knowledgeable about the industry, and he mentioned that because I actually did a webinar with the Pennsylvania Moving Storage Association, which was really great. But he mentioned when I spoke to the president over there, he said that there was 260 licensed movers in the state of Pennsylvania. And I thought, geez, that's a low number, And when I spoke to Jay yesterday, Jay was like, yo, there's really only about 5,000 licensed movers in the United States. Wow. And I was like, are you serious? Like all these big states, all these, like in New York City alone, like it feels like there's a moving company on every corner, like a corner store. So it's just like, how is there only 5,000 across the world? That's an insane figure. So, but when you mention, let's just say that the industry standards is 7%, that's for whoever's at that level of 7%, that is a high figure depending on what you were making.
Oh, it is.
I did the math the other day where I was thinking like, well, hey, if a company was, let's just say from a small scale was a $500,000 company and they did 3%, in claims, they're looking at about probably $15,000. And
that sounds about right.
And a company that's making about $2 million, they're looking at about $60,000. And I'm just like, Geez, so just to imagine, we're talking about double that number, and we're talking about that's $120,000 that a person's paying out in claims if they're around 6%. And that's like if you don't feel that, and if you don't do something about that, like that is disgusting. That's a disgusting number.
Right. Well, I think that you have to pick your battles. You know what I mean? Like that's just another segment on, what your company's doing. I mean, like claims is, fuel consumption, you know what I mean? Like everything is. So I mean, I think that like you just have to pick, what you need to focus on until it gets right and you get a good system. And then you can go on to the next one and then fix that one and fix that one and then monitor it. And yeah, but I mean, like the claims, and then, as you grow, you get guys that are like I had guys that knew me personally. And as I grew and I got disconnected from the company, they started to break stuff on purpose. Because they're like, yeah, so you run into that. You run into guys that just like, oh, they slam stuff around because they're like, oh, yeah, we're letting him live a better life. So I'm going to make him cost money. Like, so, we would go through that phase. And right
Mario,
now,
you better start firing them on purpose.
Right. Well, I mean, like, but you go through it. Like, it's just like some of the guys understand, and some of the guys don't. And some of the guys get jealous, and because you're not there. I know you have to do a little bit of that, like remote. Like it's just not as good as it is when you're there because that's just the way it is. So I think that you have to go through all that. Like, and so now I'm making it a point so the guys don't know me.
Yeah.
I just know just because I think it's at that time about I just let a guy go that was with me for 4 years that went on a job and didn't rack anything. But
that's
it was
crazy.
just just the way it was. So I'd let him go, and the way it is. So it's unfortunate, but you have to keep growing and growing as a person, growing as a company. Some people don't want to be part of that journey, and that's okay,
Yep. The elevator only goes but so high,
Yeah, exactly.
And I realized that with some of my staff members in the past, where it's like, hey, we either started this together or you damn near was there when I started it. And it's like, hey, I want you to grow. I don't want you to be stuck in a mover for 20 years later. Whatever the case is. Hey, elevate yourself, get up to the lead position, dispatcher, whatever your level is, and just keep growing with us. Obviously I'm not going to allow you guys to fail, but it gets to a certain point where people stop growing mentally. And now it's just like, well, hey, you know what? I'm trying to get you past that 5th floor. I'm trying to get you past it. And you just won't budge. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like, hey, you know what? If somebody comes in on the 6th floor and they're ready to go to the 12th floor, hey, I try to get you past it and you just didn't want to get over that ceiling.
No, but you know what? It's like, it just wasn't their time. It wasn't their season. You know what I mean? Like they may go somewhere else and thrive somewhere else. And they couldn't understand it. Like I passed on a deal to buy a warehouse probably like 5 years ago. And it was basically like 1.2 million. But 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I couldn't imagine spending that. Oh man.
Right.
Right? Man, within 2 years, that thing was worth 3.5. It's just like it was a big mistake, but it's like, and then now, I mean, like the payment on that place would have been like, I don't know, $6 grand a month. And right now I'm paying like, I'm renting in one location, I own the other one, like I'm buying it, but $23,000 a month, you know what I mean? Like it's just, it's just, but like back then I was like, oh my God, 7,000, I couldn't do.
And
so it depends on when you're ready.
Yeah, I can't even fathom that, paying $23,000 a month, and just rent. It's just like these CRMs and stuff like that. They start you out small because let's just say you're a smaller company. So they start you out small, and then as your admin grows and your leads grow, your movers and drivers grow, the CRM starts to grow with you. Like, oh yeah, you got to pay for more user spots. And I'm just like, God damn, don't grow with me. I want to grow and have these fixed expenses, but you coming with
Right.
me, and it's just crazy.
No, but it's just like accepting, like if you have kids or whatever, like, like for me, when my kids were small, I was like, oh man, I can't wait till they can walk and talk. And then when they were able to walk and talk, I was like, wow, I wish they couldn't walk and talk. Or yeah, like, and then you're like, oh man, I can't wait until they can like play sports, and then they're playing sports, and then you're scratching your head like, oh man, then you're driving them around to like all these different things, and then you're like, man, I wish they were just like kids again. And then they're driving, and you're like, I can't wait till they can drive to their own events, and then they're driving. You're like, I didn't want them to drive. You know what I mean? Like it's always, man, it's always gonna be something. So like if you, I mean, like everybody says that cliche, uh, um, it's the journey, it's the process. It's true, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like you were saying about like your expenses. I remember when my fuel bill was $700 a week, and I was like, oh my God, how can I pay this week? Oh man, like this gonna be tight. Shit, now some in the summer, man, my bill's like $20,000 a week, and I'm like, oh wow, like you know what I mean? It still gets paid. So it's just different, man. It's just like, but then you just like, but you go into it like, but you should feel. I mean, if growth is what you want, I think you're gonna feel uncomfortable, and I've spoken to executives on the Home Depot team, and they said they never took a job that they were ready for. So meaning like they weren't prepared, but they still took it. And so I think that if you keep that in mind, you'll be okay. It still doesn't feel good when you're going through it, but yeah, that's the way I try to look at it.
So Verna Owens actually chimed in, and he said, as a minority owner, do you see the difference in the certain way certain people treat your leadership, especially minorities of your own ethnicity? Do they question your leadership?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know what? But like I just came back from Hawaii. I met some ladies over there, and like at a convention, and I visited their moving company, and they go through it. Like I think that every race will have their own well, they're just like me, comfortable, and non-respect. So yeah, of course, you go into that, and you just have to keep on, or the young people will say haters. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna run into that, and yeah, I mean from both sides. Like you know what I mean? You're gonna run into that from maybe the established people, and then you're gonna run into it from your own people, and then all the four of us were men of color. Some people say, "Oh, you're not black enough." I'm Mario Reyes. I'm Latino and I'm black. And some people will say, "Oh, you're not black. You're a Blaxican. You're this." And it's like you get called, you get called different things, and it's like you just have to. I mean, it's just about you. You're not going to make anybody happy, and except yourself. So they can say whatever they want to. I fought competitively as a kid, and then like as a young adult, and I still feel like, man, like they're not putting their hands on me. It's like it's just they don't understand it, and then like. It's just like a lot of times I used to look at guys and be like, oh, like even at my old age, I'm like, I don't think you can do too much.
So what do you say about that, Phil? What's your note on that?
Well, I'm Puerto Rican black and got some white in me. So I mean, I don't know who they would,
Oh, real Phil? I didn't even notice.
Yeah, man. So I can turn on country Phil if I need to. And I can turn on, what's up, my bro? And then, I can't speak Spanish, but I just look more Spanish, so whatever. So it is what it is. But I do notice it with customers.
Okay.
Going in, because I do a lot of in-home estimates, and I notice I think a lot of times a lot of customers think I'm a lot younger than I appear, which is flattering. And a lot of times, and I know I would be if, someone came into my home and they were giving me a quote on something, and I maybe thought they were in their 20s and 30s, and You're saying you got, 20 years experience. Like, well, hold on. How? But my wife is Caucasian, and we've sensed it when we used to be way back when we were doing estimates together, because we were both going estimates, and we would sense it every now and again on kind of the cut of the eye from customer. And this is just on a customer, standpoint, not from my guys. Because a lot of my guys, all of us come from unfortunately similar backgrounds. So, they know a lot of my guys, they hang out with us after work. So I think my guys respect me. Like I said, I've had some of my original guys. I still have some of my original guys. I take care of them. And on a respect level, I respect them and they respect me, and they know where the boundaries draw, because they know that, hey, at the end of the day, old Streetfield might come back out and be like, you know what, let's just go out in the back of the truck and fight.
Yeah. Now, I've had some owners mention that where it's like, yo, you know what? This mover, he's just talking crazy right now. You know what? We're gonna, and they may be on the job. He's like, you know what? I'm not gonna say nothing in front of the customer. Let's go back. Let's go to the back of the truck, and they slam the back door, and they have it out, and they're like, okay, hey, we're gonna get back to this job now. Like, we got this out of our system. We're gonna get back to the job.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had a group of guys, man. Both of them have been with me for a very long time. One big dude, man, and they got to arguing, and they were out in the yard, and I said, well, you guys need to break this up out here. Next thing I know, I heard the door slam on the back, and the guy came out. His name Mike came out. He's like, man, that's never been this hard. But you know what? These guys still work together every day. That respect. They're both old school guys. One was Caucasian, one was black, and it was just a misunderstanding on the job. But they had enough respect not to do it on the job. Because of course, we called a follow-up customer to say, hey, how did everything go? Oh man, these guys work great together. They were communicating, yada, yada, yada. Because I thought maybe, this started occurring on the job, which it did. But the guys stayed professional enough and respect that our company enough not to do it on the job and not to be doing it while they were driving. Because, I mean, I done got into a fight while driving. I mean, before in the past.
Man, I told you, I've been in some arguing battles while driving the truck, and I got to that point where I'm just like, yo, I'm about to put this guy out on the side of the road. He gonna find
I done did that before. When I first started the business, dude, I left a guy at I dropped him off, and it was probably about an hour and a half up the road, dude. He pissed me off so bad, dude. I said, get out, open the door up and pushed him out.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Not to be unprofessional, back then when I originally started.
Sure, that's unprofessional by all means.
Yeah, man. But I knew the guy somewhat a little bit, man. And just this is back. Of course, I didn't really have much going on, no license, no insurance. So of course, whatever.
He said, "You can't read that code on the back of that U-Haul. I'm out."
Yeah, no, right? But he was mad. He called me 2 days later. Hey, Phil, you got any work, man? No, man. Man, I had to call an Uber. Oh yeah, man. But I think we just have to stay firm with our employees. Mario seems like he's got a lot of employees and a lot of things going on. Of course, I'm just kind of joking around about fight, whatever. But we got to always keep it professional, because we do have a lot on the line here, and we are a target for lawsuits.
No, but when you're at that beginning stage, it's always fun to get jiggy with it. It's like, it's all right. Like, it's like, to me,
it's funny now.
To me, it's part of it. Oh yeah, I fought on jobs, and I did everything. I mean, like, I'm older than probably. I mean, I'm fit. Like I said, I don't know how old you are, 58, but I'm 58.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a common occurrence. It used to be Friday night at our old moving company. Like before I opened the moving, Friday night was everybody fought. Like you just got it out. Like, yeah. So it was not a big deal. But now the problem is, just like Phil mentioned, sometimes when you best a guy, now they want to get you in trouble with the law. Like, you know what I mean? Like they just won't take it and move on. Like, okay, I didn't win. They're like, oh, you started, you ended it, and then they want to call the law. So I mean, like, and then at my age right now, man, I don't even want to do it anymore. Like I'm just
Right.
like, only thing I want to hit is a golf ball. But like,
Right. We
it's
get to that age though. Hey, you know what, Mario? We old school though, but if we need to get our hands dirty, we will.
Yeah,
But let's work it out prior to that though.
Right. Yeah, now I'm just like, man, I'm not. I don't even want to get there because I'm just like, I don't want to deal with the guys as much. So I'm just like, man.
Yeah.
And it's not that, like I said, I love the crew, man. I love the day to day. Like in the summer, I'll be in operations, just because that's what I like to do. I'll be in the office more in the summer months, like, than I ever am, because that's just who I am. But, man, you just can't do it anymore. But like guys will always try to test you or, whatever. And that's just the way it is. So the question that the one calling person said is true. It's like, yeah, you're gonna get that, from your own. And sometimes it sours you. Like you say, oh man, my own people won't support me. It's like, that's gonna happen. So you just have to like, it's just what it is,
Yeah, and the funny part is that our own people, and just on that little topic, obviously they say our own people will, encourage us to do something, but won't support it once you do it, which has always been a funny thing to me, where it's like, oh yeah, go and do this. You could be an astronaut. All right. Well, or a pilot. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I got my pilot license. I'm flying now. Would you want to pay for a private jet? Oh no, I ain't got it. Like, what? Hold up. But you just inspired me to go get it.
Well, you know what? So I was listening to, I think that's human nature. And then we'll confuse it with race too, because I was listening to Pastor Osteen the other day, and he said that there was like a study of some monkeys and like bananas up in the tree or like on a pole. And they said the monkeys would run up and then they would dash them with cold water. And after a while, they had 4 monkeys. They did the same thing. After a while, they didn't even do anything. So then they brought in a new monkey, and the monkey would try to like go up the thing, and the other 3 monkeys would hold the other monkey down from going up on the pole because they knew the water was coming out on it. And even though, so then after a while, that monkey didn't do it. So then they pulled another monkey out and put another new one in. And so people get afraid of what they have to do. And so a little bit of it is, with our own people, I just think it's human nature. They're afraid themselves. And so I like in a backwards way, I don't think they want you to get hurt. Even though it doesn't come across that way, they're holding you back because they're afraid. And so they'll say something like, Dwyght, you're not shit. We're not, I don't know if you can say that on here. But,
you're good.
But like they'll say, Joe, who do you think you are? And you're just trying to grow your company, or Cliff, you can't fight in the UFC. What's wrong with you? You're stupid, and they're just afraid for themselves. So I take it more of like, it's their fear. And like, it's like, it doesn't come across that way. It comes across as jealousy or hating, but I think it's more fear, fear-based. And so they're trying to hold you back.
That tribalism is real stuff.
No, it is. It's like they're just exactly, and so I think that's more of it. I think that, and we have to take it that way. It's like like, oh man, this guy's looking out for me, even though that they're kind of not, but take it like, oh, this guy was looking, so he's concerned about me, maybe throw their mindset a little bit. I do believe that you can do as much as you want to, if you really want the smoke. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there's a saying, people want you to do well, they just don't want you to do better than them.
Right.
And we are all climbers. Ownership, it's important. So in order to own something, you have to climb something, you have to go after something. And sometimes what people take that as, whether it's our own employees or it's someone that we're working with, they're feeling lack. They're feeling less. So they have to take. They have to lie. They have to cheat. They have to cut corners. They have to do whatever they can. And I tend to use compassion as I go through my journey. There's a saying, respect is earned, not given. And I think respect is earned and given. You know, I give people options and say, just as you were saying, Mario, hey, you can get the smoke. I want them to have the other option too. Hey, we can do this. We can go in the yard and do what we need to do, or we can have a great service, celebrate one another, and celebrate giving this person a really good job done. I say, let's win together.
Everyone definitely loves that compliment as well, you know, and that's one of the things as business owners that we sometimes tend to forget is it's like, okay, well, hey, you know, we're so on a go. Do we ever take the time out to, you know, appreciate our employees and say, well, hey, you know what, instead of you, oh, well, you fucked up on the job today. Well, no, you did a great job today. Great job, you know, guys, keep it up. You know, let's go out there and crush it tomorrow. You know, I'm very big on transparency. You know, hey, like next week we're slow as hell, and this week we're massively busy. So, you know, hey, going into the week, hey guys, we're gonna be slammed this week. I need everybody in attendance. Let's do this. Let's grind it out, and let's get this money. How are we gonna get this money? You know, and then next week, hey guys, we slow. You know, understand that we're gonna try to get you these hours however we can. But there's a lot of owners and people that they're not that transparent. Hey guys, oh well, we just ain't got no hours. Oh, we'll do what we can. You know, don't worry, we'll get you on a schedule. You know, and it's just like.
Well, you know what? Sometimes coming from you though, it's different because they know you're in the company. And then, but if it comes from an employee, because in a way, like people talk about transparency, but if you tell somebody, hey, you know, we're not doing that good this week, like everybody's imagination runs wild. And so sometimes, unfortunately, it's not being the transparency you have to be careful on because not many people want to really see behind the curtain. They say they do, but they really don't. You know, and if they saw, you know, like they want to keep eating the steaks, but they don't want to see you slaughter the cow. So you have to remember that in mind too. It's like, you know, if they understood the mechanism, they'd say, oh man, like let me ask both everyone, Cliff, from a fighter's perspective, Phil, and then you last, Dwyght, starting with Cliff. If you knew when you were at your pinnacle at the UFC, if you knew how much pain and suffering you had to get to, so the question is, if you knew how much pain and suffering you had to get to your goal, would you have done it?
I would have. And what I will say is I had a lot of trauma in my childhood that I didn't even know about. And I used it as energy. But I will say for most people, that would be a no-go. Yeah, that would be a no-go. And what I like about the transparency, and I actually would like to get your thoughts on this, I call it gated transparency. Certain people get to see behind the curtain more because they have the ability to take it on. I call it take it on the chin. Some people can take it on the chin. Some people are not ready to take it on the chin. It's time and timing. And just like when you started, you said, I can't see myself in a house like that. But you grew into that person. And so we're always growing into different people. And some people are not ready to see behind that. They're not ready to see behind the green screen. And some people, they are.
But the only thing is, how do you quantify that? Like, how do you, like, if we weren't men of color and we were white people, and then we said that, it would be deemed as racism. Right? So it's like, like, that's my thing. It's like, that's great, and I understand it, but if you're like, well, you're ready and you're not, well, who are you to say it? And it gets misconstrued in the wrong way. That's my only thing. Let me.
You're right.
But thank you, Cliff. Well, what do you think, Phil? What would you say?
Well, you know, if I had a guy like Clifford working for me, I would definitely Google him first. And then you may not, you might want to, okay, yeah, I want to step back a little bit. I got a Wikipedia page,
No, I mean, so
man.
if you knew where you
Did we freeze?
are now, and you knew some of the pain and suffering you went
Yeah, I kind of
Okay,
miss.
so
I miss.
the question
I
is,
miss what you
if
did, brother.
you knew, all the pain and all the hard work you went through to get to where you are right now, if you knew that in the beginning it would be like that, would you have started on the journey?
Man, that's a good question, brother. That's a really good question, man. I'm all about learning new things and new adventures, man. I talk to Dwyght often, and I always tell him, man, I really question this moving industry a lot of times, looking into the other things that that we have going on as well. I love the moving industry. To be honest with you, this was my first love for me. It gave me the opportunity to open up other doors as well. It's definitely a business of patience. But yes, I would, if the tables was turned, I would do this again. Just because of the hurdles to overcome and to overcome them and then look back at it now, man. Because I was looking back at some photos that we had on Google from when we first started. Now I got into this industry and I just started a moving company. I had never worked for a moving company, never been around the moving industry. And I look back at a sofa that I wrapped up and it was half wrapped, and I'm like, because I didn't have enough blankets and stuff. So I kind of was, working around stuff. So looking back at it now, man, I'm like, I wouldn't want to go back to that stage.
Right.
But I deleted the photo off of Google because I told Melissa, I'm like, hey, you knew this picture was on there? And yeah, man, it was kind of it looked a little raunchy, but
I ain't gonna lie to you, Phil. It's one of those things. Same here with me. Like when I first started out, I didn't have no type of training coming into this. I worked from Target. So Target, hey, they truck's already packed. Just unload it. So
right.
I'm like, all right. Well, going into moving, well, hey, I never had the side of loading those trucks. So it was a matter of, can we get all this shit in the truck? And I don't care how it looked. Can it get it all in the truck? Because the customer said you only need one truck. So,
yeah.
When you talk about people talking about tears what?
What?
Tears from crying?
What's funny though? My very first guy that I worked, his name was Eddie. He passed away several years ago. He had some troubles, but first job we went on together, I never forget this. And we were in a U-Haul. And I had got some U-Haul blankets and I had some old Harbor Freight blankets. And, we were going for a 4-bedroom home. And the first piece, Eddie was like, hey, why don't you prep and I'll run? And I'm like, okay. So I'm in the house prepping and he came in, he looked at me and he's like, okay, let's take this piece out. We take it out to the truck. He was like, hey, man, you don't know nothing about moving no furniture, do you? But, by the grace of God, man, the drive in me to ensure that customers' items wasn't damaged, I would overkill. I mean, if I didn't have, enough blankets, I always kept enough cardboard on the truck to where I would, kind of work around it, and if something occurred on a job, I would just pay for it, even when I didn't have it. But man, this is definitely so I'll rewind a little bit. My father-in-law, he's been in the roofing industry his whole life. He's 75. He kind of bullied him a job here about a week and a half ago. He just said, that's my office. I'll be here Monday. I'm like, well, we haven't discussed pay. He said, we'll work it out. You'll be fair. Like, okay. And he's old school, dude. He got my warehouse top notch, bro. I came in yesterday, dude, and he's up on he done built a scaffold, dude. He's cutting off these things. And I'm like, man. And he looks at me he's like, well, plug the wire up. And I'm like, oh, man. You know, everybody's got to have an old guy around, bro.
Oh, yeah.
You got to
That's
have
the
an
truth.
old guy around, bro, because these guys, unfortunately, man, I wasn't going to promote within the company now and put someone in the warehouse because I don't have a candidate. You know, my guys, unfortunately, some are just unorganized and they've been with me forever. You know, you ask them to, hey, clean the truck. And then you go get in the truck and the cab ain't clean. Oh, I didn't know you wanted me to clean the cab. Like, really?
Yeah, that's been a challenge now. So Mario, I guess, well, how both Phil and Mario, how do you guys handle that with, making sure the cab stays clean? Because I know that's a big challenge.
Yeah. Go
Well,
ahead,
just
Mario.
basically just stay on them. So we've got a guy, but he's our warehouse manager, and so for all the company guys, we have 2 contractors, but so I don't really care about what they do, as much. But we just go in, and every Monday we have Monday morning meeting and we talk about cleanliness and stuff like that, and it's gotten better. But it's just a constant reminder. It's almost like keeping everybody on the field to play, and every once in a while the guys go out of bounds, and you got to say, "Hey, man, this is the lane that you have to be in." And I had to replace guys because they didn't understand that, because they were better employees, and you could just tell them something once or twice and they get it, and then they got promoted and they were like, well, I don't see why these guys have to tell them all the time. And I'm like, you just do. And people
Gotcha.
get tired of it, and they're like, oh well, they're just going to have to do it. And
Yeah.
or people get, so just reminding everybody that, hey, man, this is the goal, and just staying consistent on the message, I think is the messaging of it. Is like, this is what we're about, and if you keep saying it. I remember I was listening to was it Kenny Smith on TNT? He's one of the guys with Shaq and the guys on the NBA broadcast. He said that when he played for the Rockets, everybody from the custodian to the receptionist knew they were going for a championship. And so I think that you have to have the same mindset, like, with your company. Everybody has to know the goal, but you have to almost show them the goal. Like, okay, this is the goal we're trying to get to. We're not trying to be like this. Like, it's okay if it's messed up now, but this isn't our goal. But I think that everybody gets complacent. Like, it's okay to get complacent. We all get complacent. Like, okay, man, I'm cool. But I think that, like, if we're like, okay, this is good right now, but this isn't the one we want. Phil Jackson, who used to coach both in the Lakers, when they won the division catch-up, he was holding the conference championship trophy, and he was like, this isn't the one we want. We want the gold one.
Okay. So we got a couple of statements in the chat, and Don Henson mentioned, hey, take pictures, send it to them, and charge everyone in the truck $10. I know that's been a big thing where it's just like we want to penalize with some type of monetary value. And I know that's his own challenge, trying to deal with penalties when it comes to money, because, hey, legally, you can't charge someone, you can't take it out of their checks. And, and you definitely don't want to charge someone and be like, oh, well, hey, as soon as you get your check, give me $10 or you guys ain't working. So it's just like, well, do you want to go down that rabbit hole?
No, I agree.
And then Werner said, I have an old guy and he checks the truck. If he has to clean out the trucks, he charges the guys a cleaning fee and we take it out their checks. And we do have a checklist too for the guys to check the truck every morning. But he also mentioned Texas got different rules. So I know there are I know there are some states that you can garnish checks for certain things and stuff like that. I know the big states like, probably California and New York,
Can't do it. I don't even entertain it. I don't even entertain it because this is, but like, I wish we could, you know what I mean? And then, guys are so sensitive today. When I was in the moving company, there was an old crusty dude that would come and say, what the F is wrong with you? Like, he'd be screaming at you, but you can't even do that today. So, I had a friend of mine that we were talking earlier. He owns a pretty big moving company, 3 locations. I think like he's got like 90 or 100 trucks. And he said, man, one of his guys at his yard, his main place, somebody got shot. So it's like,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. So guys, we are at the top of the hour, but we got one more, I think, statement. So Don says, so with a pre-employment form that lists charges back, as long as doesn't cause them to earn below minimum wage, it works some, but every few months, pretty much you're just gonna have to, I guess, bitch about it, stuff like that. You're gonna have to stay on top of the guys and stuff. But ultimately, Mario, just to leave us off, what's some things, I guess, that people could start to do as we hit peak season? Like, how can we normalize and avoid the stress going into the season?
Just accept the change, and more than anything, like for the stress part, accept the change, accept that there's going to be issues and problems, and just don't feel like you're alone out there. That like, oh man, this guy's got it made. He doesn't have any problems, because I think we all do, and just to accept. And forums like this have made it easier to understand and to reach out to say, hey man, what do I do? I'm going through this. And if they're on your show, they can reach out to you, myself, probably Phil's available too. I don't want to speak for Phil, and Cliff as well. And, just to say, hey man, like what's going on? Like I'm going through this. What do you think? So just to tell all the viewers out there, anyone that finds this podcast later, reach out, and realize that it's we're here to help, and that don't feel stressed out, that this is just part of the process to get there. And the sooner that you can learn off all your mistakes, depending on what they are, they'll become non-mistakes. But there'll always be mistakes. There's always room for improvement.
Gotcha. What you think, Phil? Any advice going into the season?
Making sure that we're keeping a good, strong team out there. Hopefully, we're still consistently training and consistently going back through policy and procedures. Even though it's blow down the doors busy, we still have to keep our policies and procedures in order. Floor runners, door jam guards, making sure trucks stay clean, and things of that nature. And just make sure everybody, especially with the heat, the humidity here is crazy. Nothing compared to Arizona and out there where Mario's at, but making sure our guys are staying healthy. I see a lot of times, man, and I did work with a lot of other moving companies in the area, and they burn the guys up in the summer. They're not giving their guys time enough to break, and then of course they get upset when the guy says, hey man, I don't work 12 days straight in this heat. I need a day off. And then of course damage, bad things start happening. So just making sure that our guys are staying healthy as well, making sure they stay hydrated, make sure we're telling our team leads, hey, make sure your guys are drinking water, keep an eye on your team. Because we've had a lot of heat exhaustions here in the last few years. Of course, it happens. I've had 5 heat exhaustions in the past 7 years from being in a truck, because unfortunately, I don't like drinking water. I didn't. And I'm drinking, busting out Mountain Dew. Next thing you know, I'm getting myself off the ground. So not only just making sure furniture, trucks, job is protected, making sure our guys are also protected as well and staying healthy. They're eating, they're staying, up to date, with, the hydration. So
definitely. Okay. So we are at the top of the hour. I don't want to hold everyone up. I know we still got a couple of viewers hanging in there. So before we wrap up, anything, Cliff, Mario, Phil, that y'all want to say before we take off?
Yeah, Mario, I loved your question about if you were to do it all over again, would you do it? And the thing that keeps me going and keeps me moving is my why. If I'm going to do something, I got to know why I'm doing it. And to all you viewers, appreciate you. And I just want to say, know your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? What's getting you up at night to do what you need to do? And we're all stronger than we realize. You know, we get tested and we grow into something different. And we're like, holy crap, I got through this. Maybe I can get through this thing too.
Definitely, definitely. Your why is going to get you through this summer. It's going to get you through every peak season, really. And your why is going to also get you through the slow season as well. You know, so you got to know that, hey, slow season is one of those things where, hey, you know what, you probably fire yourself every month. God damn it, I don't have the money. I don't, you know, payroll. How is payroll going to get covered? How is my payroll going to get covered? And it's just like, sheesh, you know, it's like you have to figure out what's keeping you going. And in the summer, hey, the money's coming in, but so is the headaches. You know, customers complaining left and right, and you're just like, damn, I'm tired of this. Like, I swear, I keep telling these guys, do this, do that, and you know, they're just not listening. And you know, and it's just like, do I want to deal with this? So it's like you're always dealing with some type of struggle, no matter what part of the year you're in. And it's just like, why are you doing this at the end of the day? What's your ultimate goal? Do you want to sell a business? Do you want to pass it down? Do you want to get out of generational curse of if you was in poverty and you want to be more, you know, healthy and wealthy? What are you doing this for? And it has to be bigger than you.
I agree. No, that's a good thought, Dwyght. I love it.
So, but all right, guys. So we are at the top of the hour. Thank you so much, Mario, for joining us. You know, we'll definitely have you again. Anything you want to say before we take off?
No, thank you for having me on the show. Wish you guys a good peak season. I know we're going to talk, you know, besides that, but and wish everyone listening a good peak season, and let's keep it rolling.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining moving with Morning with Movers, and we will see you soon. All right, y'all. Take care.
Take it easy.
Have a great one.
Thank you, guys.
Bye bye.